All right. First and foremost, I want to start off by saying, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Kol Halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kwadash. Shalom to you sincere Akim out there listening, learning, and pushing this truth. And shalom to the few sincere Akwath that are out there listening and learning as well. With that being said, Adawan Ratazah, this will be edifying. As usual, I'm going to go into Rakah Kwadash. And might be a little bit long. I got a couple things I wanted to speak on. The inspiration for this lesson is going to be this video that I was watching on MSNBC. And as you can see, I'll read a little bit of it, and then I'll read a little bit of the transcript and a couple precepts, a definition, and that'll be the lesson. Adawan Ratazah to be edifying, exhorting, and comforting to the elect. I'll leave the link for this video in the description also. So it says, as you can see from Reuters, it says, U.S. income inequality grew through pandemic years, Fed survey shows. And that's the main thing that I wanted to harp on is the inequality, primarily in Babylon the Great, but not just in Babylon. The same thing is happening all around the world. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. We know who's really running the world are these elites, these so-called oligarchs, primarily Amalek, okay? These bankers. So it says U.S. economy inequality grew through pandemic years, Fed survey shows. From the USA Today, it says America's top 10% controls 60% of the wealth. The bottom half holds 6%. That's the main thing that caught my attention. Salakia. The fact that, Salakia. Again, I'll read this. Inequality in America is rising. The top 10% now control a staggering 60% of nationals' wealth. It says that gap is wider than in most of U.S. history and worse than in many other wealthy nations today. All right, so a bunch of precepts came to mind, and I think that number's being lowballed. Okay. Let me see if I can pull up the transcript, Salakia. Read a little bit of it. American inequality keeps rising. It's a trend that is far larger than our current political disputes, and it deepened in the pandemic. Because what you've been seeing, well, even before the pandemic, for the last couple decades, probably 40, 50 years, what you've been seeing is the slow demise of the middle class, okay? The elites have been transferring wealth, monopolizing everything. Hence the word that I wanted to look up, conglomerate. There's a bunch of conglomerations, and basically these conglomerates, well, you'll see. You probably know the definitions, but I'll get it. It's matter of fact, I'll get it right now. Salak, since the spirit is on me. Conglomerate, meaning it says a number of different things or parts that are put or grouped together to form a whole, but remain distinct entities. And that's how the wicked elite, they hide themselves through their conglomerations. They, big bank take little bank. They buy up these smaller businesses and they hide themselves behind a major corporation. For example, BlackRock. So it looks like there's a free market, but it really isn't. There's a bunch of monopolies, and that's what the video was going into. And more of these people are becoming aware of it. Changing numbering. Salakia. Hopefully I can get copyright for that. So let's go back. It says let me see. Salakia. Again, American inequality keeps rising. It's a trend that is far larger than our current political disputes. Because inequality, it transcends so-called races and classes. Because what's happening is it's one big club and you're not in it. You know, as Carl Schwab said, you will own nothing and be happy. The end goal is for the elites to control everything and everybody else is just slaves, perpetual slaves, you know? And that's always been the goal. Going back to the feudal system, it's the same thing happening over and over. The few want to control the masses. And they use it through their monetary system primarily. But it was created that way. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai designed it this way. So it says, it's a trend that is far larger than our current political disputes, and it's deepened in the pandemic. The top 10% control the whopping 60% of the wealth, and I beg to say it's probably like 5%, 3% that really control everything. And again, they hide themselves, you know, behind their different corporations. You know, they change their names. You know them as the elites, the oligarchs, these elite banking families, you know, so on and so forth. And they don't just control the bank, they control everything. They control Big Pharma, they control the prison industrial complex, they control manufacture, they control everything. They control governments. So it says half the nation gets by on just 6% of the pie. Most of the people are in poverty, live in poverty. It's getting what they call it, the wealth gap is closing more, widening more and more. Again, they've been doing it, monopolizing everything, but it got expedited during the pandemic. Okay, and you're seeing it still now. There's no pandemic. They're using the so-called tariffs to expedite things, which we know is nothing more than them trying to fulfill their new world order. So it says, and all these nations are in cahoots. Okay, so it says, and this is not just the way it must be. And this is not just the way it must be. It's actually worse than most of our own history. It's getting worse and worse as time progresses, because they're inching closer and closer towards this new world order, where they'll have complete control through a digital system, which will be spearheaded by the Charagma, the RFID CHIP. So it says, so it can be more fair and worse than many other wealthy countries. Plenty of Americans are mad. That's the point that I wanted to. Plenty of Americans are mad. More and more people are waking up to the lies. Okay? They're realizing they've been bamboozled. Okay? So it says, again, it's one big club and you're not in it. And they're mad about it. And lately, all kind of candidates invoke populism and waging war on elites. Again, more and more people are waking up to the truth of the matter, that this world is being governed by a few, primarily these elites, these oligarchs, the Rothschilds, the Gettys, the DuPonts, the Vanderbilts, the Oppenheimers, so on and so forth. You see, this was more known in the past, but they've dumbed the people down. But now the people are starting to wake up again. Why? Because the oppression is getting so harsh. They have no choice but to wake up to reality. So it says, which can drive, of course, different policies. Here's AOC. I think that's Alexander. That she's like a politician. So it says, we are at a crossroads. We can either have extreme wealth inequality with the toxic division and corruption that it requires to survive, or we can have a fairer economy for working people, along with the democracy and the freedoms that uphold it. Which that's all. Democracy is just a ruse. It's all bullshit. It's the illusion of inclusion. You know, to calm the people, but it's all a farce. As the brothers say, different elders say, different sides of the same coin, different wings on the same hateful bird. Everything is being ran again by the wicked. Job 9:24. Esau, Edom, primarily Amalek, and all these nations are confederate with them. So it says now the financial sector can buzz during boom or bust times, because everything is a system, and all the systems are being manipulated by the elites, by the people that designed the system. It's all lies. Okay, it's all fraud, it's all deceit. Okay, it's a house of cards and it's collapsing. It's imploding. Capitalism, everything is imploding. The fiscal fiat system, all designed by the elites to perpetrate fraud, to defraud the people, to steal the people's wealth. When I say people, I mean the common people. So it says, we've had the market slide in response to Trump's tariff, which of course are government activity. A reminder that even in our capitalistic America, there may not be a pure free market. That's the point. There is no free market. It was all bullshit. Well, there was some semblance of it, but that's long and over with. And what you're seeing is the eradication of the so-called free market. More and more of these big corporations are buying up everything. These big box stores, these big corporations are buying up the so-called mom and pops, okay, which represented the free market. Okay, in a capitalistic society, the enemy is free market. Okay, anything that opposes the elites, that's the enemy. Freedoms they don't want you to have no freedoms. Okay, they want you to go. They want to control everything. Hence this New World Order, where they'll have complete control. So it says, now economists say a free market is a system where free competition is the enemy of the elites, man. They don't want competition. So it says if they want to create the competition as an illusion. So it says free competition sets prices and economic outcomes, and that can be good for the majority, right? Competition can benefit consumers, can even help hold companies accountable through that competition in theory. But outside of economics class, do we have free markets? No, not really. Okay, it's all bullshit. So it said the elites got all type of lobbyists, all type of politicians in their pockets. They control everything. They write the laws, they amend the laws. Hence what you see on the screen. Former BlackRock executive on free market hoax. It's a hoax. The greatest hoax is the free market hoax. A market is just a collection of rules. Who sets the rules? The elites. You can change those rules and you'll get different outcomes, all of which can be considered market outcomes. They manipulate it. But that's the point. Everything is rigged. Again, I'll leave the link for this in the description. I ain't want to go too deep into the video. You can watch it for yourself. But that's the inspiration. I was just thinking about it, man. And more people are waking up to the reality of things, how this world is truly governed, how it's ran. That they don't have a fair shake, and they're gonna lash out. That's the main point. We know it's inevitable. There shall be sedition in the streets. When people really catch on to what's going on, they're gonna lose it, and we're in that time. Okay, and it's really a lot of these Edomites are waking up to the reality of what's going on. Okay, we never had a fighting chance. We were never meant to make it. I say we, you tribes, you were never brought here to make it. Okay, but these Edomites, they really believed in the Constitution. They really believed in their so-called freedoms, the land of the free, the American dream. Now they're waking up to the reality that it's an American nightmare. They've been bamboozled, they've been lied to, manipulated, and they're gonna lash out. And what's causing them to wake up? The oppression, the wealth gap, widening more and more. Their business is being eroded. They're drowning in debt. They're being forced to react. They're being forced to reality. They're being forced to wake up. This is Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous own authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. The people have been doing nothing but mourning. Okay? Why? Because of the oppression, the heavy usury, the heavy debts, unjust rulers, unrighteous decrees. Proverbs 22:7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Again, we have to, that was part of our curses. We have to go to the enemy and want of all things. But this man is such, Edom is such a goddamn demon, a devil. He put his own people in captivity, and they're waking up to it. And they're going to lash out. Again, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Ecclesiasticus 34:21, the bread of the needy is their life. He that defraudeth him, therefore is a man of blood. A bloody man is ruling. Esau, Edom, the wicked, the red horse in Revelation. Okay? And that's what he does. He defrauds his own people. He defrauds his workers, his laborers. He defrauds his neighbors. Okay? First and foremost, you're being paid with debt-bearing notes. You're not being paid with real money. You know? Unjust weights. So again, the bread of the needy is their life. You need your money. You need it to pay for things. But you're constantly being defrauded, being taken advantage of. You know? It says, he that defraudeth him thereof is a man of blood. We dealing with a bloody man. That's why it says, "Sif thou hast not hated blood, blood shall pursue thee." He's the bloody man, the bloody, deceitful man, Esau, Edom, and he's ruling. And more people are waking up to the reality of things. James 5:1, I'm just trying to run through, I'm not trying to make it too long. James 5:1, go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, how you acquired all your wealth, through rape, rob, and pillaging, through fraud, through deceit, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Everybody's onto you. Not to mention, a righteous ruler is coming, Yahushua HaMashiach, and he's about to recompense you. The kingdom is about to be translated from one people to the other. It says, behold, the hirers of the labor which have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth. That's why you see, like it says, more and more people are, they're becoming mad, okay? Protesting, crying out for, what the scriptures, I forget how it goes. They shall complain of unjust fathers. It says, which is of you kept back by fraud. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, Yahushua HaMashiach, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the Lord of hosts, the Lord of armies. It says, ye have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. You had the best of the best. You've been living high off the hog at the expense of everybody else. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. As I said, by defrauding, what did it say? The bread of the needy is their life. You've been defrauding us of our bread, our daily bread, you know? So, and there's a recompense coming for that. Ultimately, you're going to have to answer to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, but your own people shall turn against you, you know? 2 Ezra 15 and 14. Main point is in 16. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Woe means destruction. That's what's coming to this place. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. These This Isaiah 19, he shall set the Egyptian against the Egyptian. Okay. These MAGA supporters, a lot of them are turning against Trump. These red-blooded Americans, these veterans, again, a lot of them, the Bible thumpers, you know, a lot of these. I'm primarily focusing on these Edomites. A lot of these Edomites, again, believe in the Constitution. They believe in their so-called freedoms, the right to bear arms, freedom of speech. As you encroach on these so-called freedoms, they're gonna lose it. As they're losing their businesses, they're losing their homes, their cars, their children going to school can't get jobs. They're losing their 401ks, their pensions. You know, they're gonna lose it once they realize they don't have a fair shake. You know, it says, "For there shall be, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh." It's near. This day is inching closer and closer. And one people shall stand up, and more people are waking up. They call themselves truthers, you know? And one people shall stand up and fight against another. It's going to be a civil war again. It's going to be civil wars, class wars, race wars. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. The modern day sword is the gun. For there shall be sedition. That word sedition means speech, invoking people to go against their leaders, you know. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. What's an example of that? That Luigi guy that killed that medical, that farmer guy, or whatever. You know, they're idolizing him. They're making him damn near like a martyr. You know, you had that guy that tried to burn down the mansion of that governor. More and more. It happens. It's already happening in these other nations, killing the governors and shit. You know, it's coming. It's already here. I would say it's coming, but it's already here. Okay, but you ain't seen nothing yet. When people have nothing left to lose, they lose it. So it says, and they're gonna have their way with you. You know, hence why the real elites are gone. They're not in America. They're in their bunkers, man, in different countries, man. Only ones that are left here are the lesser luminaries. That's what it's talking about. You lesser luminaries, because you're scapegoats, you're fall guys. You senators, you know, you people in politics, you so-called CEOs, you know. Hey, man, you people in upper management. Hey, man, these people gonna lose their minds, man. They're going to lose their minds, and they're going to take it out upon you, the people in so-called power, in charge. And you're really not even in charge. You're just puppets. So it says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. Oh, I saw, Salakia, sidebar. I saw, I forget where I saw, but somebody was saying some of Trump's, some people in Trump's cabinet, you know, they're spilling the beans. They've been hoarding cash, and they've been hoarding toilet paper. They've been hoarding resources behind this whole tariff, because they foresee what's about to happen. Okay? Things are about to get ugly, man. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. All hell is about to break loose. Chaos, anarchy, martial law, civil unrest. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. We're entering into Jacob's trouble, per Daniel 12:1, a time like never before. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall the love of many waxen cold. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. Again, the modern day sword is the gun. And spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. Everything's drying up. Nothing's moving in Babylon. There's about to be a famine. Okay? No work for Egypt. Okay? No answers. Okay? So I'm going to close out here. Again, I'll leave the link for this video in the description. A lot of information, a lot of good points were made. I just, just brought out a few. Job 20. The main point is 22. I get that in the blue letter. As Elder Apostle Tahor always goes into the word wicked. I'm going to look up the word wicked. But let's start at 19. Job 20 and 19. Because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, Esau, Edom primarily. Primarily you Amalekites. You bankers. The ones that are behind the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, the central banking system, the ones that are behind the Federal Reserve, the oligarchs, the elites. It says, because he hath oppressed and forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he builded not. Again, everything is kept back by fraud. You really don't own nothing. It's the illusion of inclusion. It's the illusion of wealth, but you don't own your house. You don't own your vehicles. You don't own yourself. Now certain states are trying to do with property taxes and shit. Hey man, it's too late for that. Now different states like Florida, Texas, you got people trying to sue the government for the fraud in the system. It's too late. And that's a case you ain't gonna win. That's a futile effort. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna take up arms. No taxation without representation, right? So it says, because he hath oppressed and forsaken the poor, he's a bloodshedder. Because he hath violently taken away an house which he buildeth not, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He ain't gonna be able to sleep at night. He shall not save of that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. It's the main point. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Straight meaning a position of difficulty. Right when he's about to kick up his feet, sit back and relax and enjoy and reap the rewards and benefits of his so-called New World Order, all his hard work that he's been laboring for, he's going to be upset. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is going to upset him. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai disappointeth the devices of the crafty. This crafty enterprise, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is going to upset it. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. I'm going to go look that word up, but let me finish it first. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him. He shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He going to vomit everything up. I'm going to close out here. Again, I'll leave the link for this video in the description. All right. Matter of fact, I took a couple screenshots. Salakia. You could see this was AOC. I think her name is Alexandria something, Ocasio Cortez. I think that's her name. But you could see at this meeting, mostly Edomites, man, of all ages, man. Male and female. A lot of Edomites are waking up to the bullshit, and they're gonna lose it, and they're gonna take it out upon their leaders. There shall be sedition in the streets. So this is Job 20 and 22. We're going to look up the word, the wicked. Amal, as Apostle Tahor always brings out, right? That means the laborer, sufferer, wretched one, laborer, workman, sufferer, toiling. That's us, the needy. And not just us. He did it to his own people. That he did it to his own people. That's why they're mourning. Okay? And that's why they're going to lash out ultimately. All right? Every hand of the wicked shall be upon him. The laborers. They're going to get at your neck, man. They're going to want your head. They're going to require your soul. Anyway, with that being said, Adawan Ratazadis came together and made sense. Keep watching, keep praying, keep fighting, keep pushing. We're close. Shalom. Wa abad babal. Kwam Nesharallah.